Live from Studio 3K in Rockefeller Center, you're watching Sports Final on NBC for New York. Here's your host, John Chandler.
Well, the Yankees open this season of World Series expectations Thursday against Baltimore. 100 wins in early October exit to the Red Sox. What happened in 2018 just won't cut it in 2019. And to discuss this season, it is my pleasure to welcome Bob Klapisch into the Sports Final Spotlight, brought to you locally by Geico. Bob, you authored Inside the Empire. You kind of peeled the curtain back on the 2018 Yankees with this book, which is set to come out this Tuesday. What did you learn writing this book and looking at the 2018 Yankees that you think now you can expect from the 2019 Yankees?
Well, I found out how organized the Yankees are and how forward-thinking they are and how much they have changed since the George Steinbrenner era. This is very much Brian Cashman's team in every respect. And, you know, I spent a year embedded with this team, not just Cashman, but with Aaron Boone and the players and Randy Levine and Hal Steinbrenner. I've spent 25 years prior to that being a beat reporter for the New York Post, the Daily News, the Bergen Record, and any beat writer will tell you they're always chasing the next deadline, which seems to be 15 minutes away. So no matter what information they get, they've got to make a hasty retreat to the press box. I was able to tell the players, you see that group of reporters over there in the corner? That used to be me. That's not me this year. So what you say to me is not going to end up on the back page of the Post tomorrow, and it's not going to be on Twitter in 15 minutes. And it really allowed the players to let their guard down. It allowed me to really explore the deep tissue issues of this team, which to me made for a heck of a book. And
you want to understand just what happened to the Yankees in 2018 and the expectations that maybe they didn't meet, and I'm talking about Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton here. You know, the access that those guys gave you, and Stanton especially had some very telling quotes in this book. You kind of really get an inside look into those players and the pressure that they faced. I think it's very fair to say that Stanton faced an enormous amount of pressure and had a very difficult time transitioning to the American League last season.
Yes, he did. I mean, it's almost a prophecy that any high-paid, high-salaried star coming to New York will struggle in year one. It's just not ready for this cauldron of sound and fury and expectations and the intense press coverage and scrutiny. Now remember, Stanton had never played in a meaningful game in his career in Miami, and suddenly he's playing 162 playoff games. Now, he held his own. He had some pretty decent stats, but his October was not good. And I do think, though, he is going to be better prepared and will perform better in year two in 2019.
What gives you that idea that he's going to be better this year? I mean, he has 4 home runs this spring. 2 of them, I don't think one of them has landed yet still from Saturday. Right. Another one he hit with a broken bat that he sent out. But is that enough? Have you seen enough this spring to say, okay, this guy's ready to bust out?
Well, remember, this is was the reigning National League most valuable player when he came to the Yankees, and you don't do that by accident. You can't fake that. He's a legitimately good player. He has, obviously, his flaws. He does strike out a lot. But, you know, and he's a streaky player, but if you can extend those hot streaks, which I think he will, just having been accustomed to New York now, I think being around Aaron Judge helps a lot. And I'm also betting on Gary Sanchez being better than a 180 hitter as well.
Can't be worse than last year.
Can't be any worse. So I think you put those factors together, you get Judge healthy for a year, you get Sanchez closer to his career average. I think Stanton will benefit from that dividend.
Now, Judge started this spring saying he is as healthy as he has ever felt. And, of course, the wrist was bothersome last year. You missed him for 7 weeks, and that hurt. And it was almost unfair to set the mark of what you expect in 2018 at 100 home runs between these two. But here we are again in 2019, and I think that's the expectation. Again, these guys are going to mash. Judge has 6 home runs so far this spring.
I think Judge is a terrific hitter. Look, he's going to be around for a long time. He's already the face of the franchise. He's a leader in that clubhouse. There's no doubt he's going to be the captain soon, which is pretty remarkable for a guy who's only really in his 4th full season. I liken his skills to when he really hits his peak. He's a latter-day Miguel Cabrera in his prime. That's how good he is. He's power and average, great athlete. And again, he has that intangible, which makes it easy for players around him to raise their game. And certain guys have it, certain guys don't. I mean, I remember covering Keith Hernandez in his prime with the Mets. He had that quality. I see it in Judge as well.
Not a lot of question marks really on the Yankees. I mean, they won 100 games. There's a reason they didn't go out and get Manny Machado or Bryce Harper, because they like what they have right now, and for good reason, as long as they stay healthy. But Aaron Hicks is injured now. That residual effect has both Luke Voit and Greg Bird making the team. So that whole first base competition, you know, they're both going to be there. Eventually, you're going to have to make a decision. That is the one real question mark.
Right. Well, there's actually one more, too. I mean, there's several questions that have to be answered in the affirmative for me to say that the Yankees are going to catch the Red Sox. Bird has to prove he's healthy. Gary Sanchez has to be better than 180, and Luis Severino has to stay healthy. And we don't know what's really wrong with him. I mean, it's odd for a young pitcher like that to develop inflammation just a couple weeks into spring training. I mean, you expect that from an older pitcher with a lot of miles on that arm to break down in the dog days of August, but for him to suddenly come up lame in March, to me, is a red flag. Same thing with Betances. Although there's lots of backup around him. The Yankees can absorb an injury from Betances. But Severino, to me, is a big key. They really need him at the front of the rotation and healthy.
Let's talk about Aaron Boone. I mean, a rookie manager last year, 100 games, that's a fantastic start to his career. But he faced a lot of pressure, especially in the playoffs. And I think in this book, there's an anecdote from that 15-7 loss to the Red Sox where an unnamed veteran is saying, it looks like we're going to come up a little short this year. And you talk about, it's not a very glowing portrayal of Boone that weekend in Boston in terms of just, measuring him against Alex Cora. He didn't have that fire. The team was kind of lacking that message sender, is how it's written in the book. Do you think they have that this year? And is that Aaron Boone?
Well, Aaron Boone, there's a reason why Aaron Boone replaced Joe Girardi. Girardi's message after 10 years had simply expired. I mean, players weren't listening to him anymore. The same reason that Joe Girardi was the right guy to replace Joe Torre after 2007. After a while, the arc of a manager's communication skills simply are finished. They're complete. You need someone to go in the opposite direction. The pendulum has to swing the other way. Girardi was the right guy for a while until the players start tuning him out. Aaron Boone was the right guy in 2018. He has that ability to connect with players. I mean, you sense it about him in about the first 30 seconds that you meet him. He's got that thing.
Sure.
Now, that works from April until September, but it still remains to be seen if Aaron Boone can get that extra gear out of the Yankees in October, where it's not about analytics, it's about your players buying into you. Now, everything that Cora did last year with the Red Sox in October worked because the players believed in him. They love the guy. That's not to say the Yankees don't love Boone, but he still has to prove that there's this extra thing about them that can manifest on the field.
That's going to be a fun summer to watch, I think,
sure
as
will
these
be.
two teams jockey back and forth. You want to read Inside the Empire before the summer starts because it is really going to set the table, I think, for 2019 based on how it went in 2018. Comes out Tuesday.
It'll be out Tuesday, yes.
Don't want to get you out of here without addressing something Mets-related today because Noah Syndergaard, I mean, he brought some high heat to the team today, talking about why Jacob deGrom has not gotten his contract extension done. And this has been the spring contract extension. It's like Oprah with her audience. You want a contract extension? You got one. You got a contract extension.
Right.
Jacob deGrom doesn't have one. And Thor put it out there today.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, it's obvious to me that Syndergaard is now going to become the leader of this team now that David Wright's career is over.
So you like him saying this?
Not only do I like Syndergaard, I love him now because he says exactly what every player in that clubhouse is thinking, but they don't feel they have the standing to articulate it. Syndergaard is not afraid. He stood in front of the cameras and said, got to pay this guy. And on top of that, stop putting through this nonsense itinerary of sending us to Syracuse.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't like this
to not even
Tuesday
play a game. To work out.
I mean, he basically said, treat us like adults.
Right. And that's why I love Syndergaard.
How will that play with the Mets, though?
Well, I mean, they're not. What are they going to do? He's bulletproof right now. They're going to have to just take it. I mean, Jeff Wilpon is just going to have to take it. And good for Syndergaard for saying it.
Bob Klapisch, Inside the Empire with Paul Solotaroff. It comes out Tuesday. It's going to be a great read.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's going to be a fun season.
Yes, it will. Definitely.
Thanks for coming by here.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
All right. Special thanks tonight to Topps for decorating the sports final set with their 2019 opening day baseball cards. There they are. And if you're in the city this Thursday, make sure you stop by Bill's Bar and Burger from 1 to 3 p.m. Topps is hosting an MLB opening day celebration with prizes, tickets, giveaways, so much more. You don't want to miss it.